So this is the Arctic train, the most recent one, and it does look like it wants you to use lights, but then they backed out of that. So this is a very quick video, hopefully, to show you a really decent way to put lights in this build without causing issues. So we're first going to start by popping a few things off the top of this, because we're going to need access to most of the interior of this build. So first thing you want to do is take the roof off and both sides as well, because you're going to need to be able to pull pieces apart. And the advantage of this change, by the way, if you do go down this route, even if you're not going to add lights, it lets you route the wire better, because Lego wants you to sort of route it in like that. Gets a bit frustrating. I'll show you a slightly better way if you go down this route. So pop those off, pop the window shield off, take the entirety of the front section off, like such, and separate the lights at the front. And then finally, pop these two pieces up, because you're going to need these pieces, both of them, out the way. Let's grab a removal tool and pop them off fully. There we go. So what you want to do with the lights is these little bricks down here have a lovely little gap in them, and what we're going to do is feed the wire into the bricks. You can have it a bit further out. You want it to be a bit further out. I'll show you why in a second. Basically, choose your light sides, get them in here, get them through this little gap towards the green 1x1s, because that's basically your target. And then when you've got them correctly in their place, you can pop that directly down on top of them. And they're ready then to be used, and then you'll pop them into the front section like this. 1 and 2. And then what you can do is you can pull backwards slightly on the cable, very gently, and that lets you pull this into position like that. And so that means that the lights are not interfering with the seat. The minifig sits there, nice and straightforward. And the nice part is you can reassemble pretty much everything at this point forwards of the battery box area. You are done with the front section, which is a very, very handy part to have done. The rear section gets interesting, and the reason I think this set had original support for lights is you can actually tell. I actually want these pieces off here, so I'm actually going to put them back on here. There is a yellow pin down here, and that pin is supposed to be to hold the body section of the lights. That's what that little pin up there is for. And the only reason you can't use that pin properly is because they've added a piece down here. So we're going to grab hold of this section and just remove it in one go. I'm going to bend that section backwards. That's our pin, we're aiming for that. And this is the part that you need to remove. This is the only part that gets removed from the build. If my camera would like to focus, there we go. You take that piece off, pop that back on the bottom of this, and then you're going to do that. And then before you do that, I want you to push the motor wire backwards into the build. We'll deal with that properly in a minute. You're going to then put everything across, keep the wires as flat as is possible. Hopefully I haven't crossed these, but yes. There we go, that's reasonable. And then you're going to just pop this down here, back in place. The wire on the inside like that. And if you do it right, it just fits back in like that. And then you need to make these cables shorter, which you can do by just basically shoving all the cable in here, because there is lots of room in here, and you want them to be about that long, and that will come in handy in a moment. and then you pop this lower section back in its entirety. And then you do the cover, and then I'll show you very simply. This is the lights working. So this is where I go, which wire is which? The top wire should be the motor wire, and that goes into A. If I've got this wrong, this is going to be hilarious. And the other one goes into B. And if I've done this right, yep. We have lights. We have working lights. And then the rest of this is pretty much per the instructions. It's just a reassembly of the sides and the roof. So pop your roof back on, pop your sides back in. Pop your minifig back in because he fits quite nicely now, and get the hair out of the way and pop your roof back on. So for the removal of one piece, you now have fully set up working lights, and it fits in lovingly with no problems, including, as we've mentioned earlier before, the minifig seat is not covered by the wires. So it fits in pretty nicely, integrates pretty well. There is a small amount of light leak. This is part of the reason why I think they backed out of this, is there is a small amount of light leak because that gap here, if the camera would like to focus, thank you very much, that gap is obviously, light can get through that gap, but it's not bad, and it looks pretty good at night. But there you go, there's the build, and we're still on the train. Whee! So that's how to add lights in. It's a very, very simple build once you've built it. If you're building the set as you're going, add the lights in at the point you're building the front of the train. Makes life easier for you. And there you go. Enjoy lights in your build.